So in this video we're going to take a look at a typical automotive toolbox. This one's mine, and let's take a look at some of the tools that will be seen inside a toolbox. So you want to keep them basically, for the most part, as organized as possible. So my top drawer is some common tools that I'm going to use on a regular basis. So this is my 3/8, there's sockets, a ratchet, an extension, all those other fun things for me. As you'll notice, the bottom of it, that's a 3/8 drive component there. Now at the end of this is actually a Torx bit. You can span up just like that. I keep them all organized. Obviously I have some missing as I'm doing some work right now, but they're all actually in order and size specific. We go over to our next drawer here. This drawer actually has all of my quarter drive sockets, and it also has some of my wrenches. Some things that weren't listed inside your textbook or any of the content that I had you guys read through, that's why this video is here, is something like this. This is called an Allen key or an Allen wrench. This is also a gear wrench. This one's a stubby gear wrench and then a full-size gear wrench. What it is almost still acting as a wrench, but inside here has that ratcheting aspect just like a ratchet you would have. So it turns ratchets one way and locked in the opposite direction. My next drawer, this is my 1/2" sockets. So 1/2" ratchet, 2 different extensions. Now this here, right here, is actually an adaptive driver. So it actually changes 1/2" to a 3/8 drive. So let's say you only had a 3/8 drive socket to fit this. You can put this on here, but still have the torque of a larger 1/2" ratchet. Now I have a set of sockets right here. Be kind of hard to see inside, but just on the inside of these walls, these are actually brand specific. They're from Mac, but Snap-on has the same thing, and I believe that Mastercraft has something similar. What it does is have these little biting edges on the inside. So a bolt that's partially rounded off, these sockets can actually take it off rather than having to extract the whole thing. So let's go into another drawer here, kind of a mishmash of some things, but some things that we haven't talked about. So something like this is a pick. Has different ends of picks just like that. A little 90-degree shape pick like that. I also have some bigger ones. These ones are mostly used for hoses and things like that would be tight around a component. You basically put the pick into it, go around to break it free, and then you have it. This one here we're actually going to be using this semester. This is a seal puller. So the one end slides in behind the seal and you use the leverage to actually pop it out of place. Something else inside here that we're going to be taking a look at, we have some files, different types of files. Here's a flat. This one has that triangle shape to it, if you can kind of see that. Triangle shape, different edges on them. Here's basically every text. They're going to have one large drawer typically, and we use that for a lot of our air tools. So a simple air chuck tool, this one connects to your airlines, just that's what called an airline tool drawer. And actually as you pull the trigger, you can blow compressed air out of the end of this. We have a common automotive drill. Again, it's all air powered. This guy right here is called a Sawzall. So connect the airline here, you pull the trigger, and that little saw, this blade right here, can actually saw through a component. The benefit of this versus something like this is a cutoff wheel. This creates a whole lot of sparks. This guy does not. So I can use this around fuel lines or anything else like that that could potentially cause a fire. This guy right here is a pry bar. You'll notice the end here. We never use a screwdriver to pry on anything. This is what pry bars are for. So I actually put it in between a component, so if I wanted to pry open these toolbox drawers, put it in like that and I can start prying. Or I can actually hammer on this end here. Metal end, so I can actually hammer on it without breaking the pry bar itself. Moving on to our next drawer here. Just a bunch of wrenches and something called a torque wrench. We're going to talk about those in the next coming week anyways. So we'll take a look at those. This guy right here is called a Johnson bar or a breaker bar. Basically, you have a driver or a drive end here. This is a 1/2 inch drive, and it's just one solid bar, but it's long, so it actually gives me torque to break something free. My next drawer, this is my pliers drawer. So we just talked about pliers today. Different types here, so obviously different types of locking pliers or vice grips. You know, small pair of locking pliers. I have some longer needle nose or different bends to them. There's my linesman pliers. This one right here, this is actually a trim tool, so it actually grabs onto a clip and I can pull them out. Next drawer, this is my electrical drawer. A little bit messy, but you get the idea. I have a couple multimeters. This is called a test light, so I can see if power and grounders around there. These are another type of pliers, but they are used actually to take off spark plugs. So it fits around the boot, you can twist it and pull them right out. There's some of my hammers here. Obviously one of the two different wrenches inside there that obviously didn't fit in my pliers drawer or wrench drawer, so I can actually turn this thumb wheel either way and making the wrencher bigger or smaller. These are the jaws right here. I have a rubber mallet, some dead blows, and a ball peen hammer. Everybody kind of has one of these drawers filled with some liquids, fillers, something that I used to do, transmission rebuilding gel, all those other fun stuff. So into our next drawer here, you'll find a lot of these kits. These are actually just a whole bunch of snap ring pliers. So when we get into some snap rings, you'll need specific design pliers. So these guys right here, they have a specific tip on the end of them. You open them up, or you can close them, changing the size of the snap ring, opening or closing them bigger or wider. Next drawer here, I have a digital vernier caliper. We're going to do those in the next coming weeks. And a 3/8 electrical impact gun, used for. So we just talked about this today. There is a center punch, so it has a sharp point to make that dent. And I have a chisel, so a nice sharp edge that I can actually use to chisel something off. Here's kind of a miscellaneous drawer here. So I have a mirror that I would actually want to use to try and get into tight spaces. There's my mirror. I have a scraper tool. I always use the protector on there so nobody cuts themselves. This is called a torque stick. Another small extension here. This is called a driver handle. So this piece fits a socket right over top of it, and I can basically use a socket in a screwdriver form. Here's my screwdriver drawer, a whole bunch of different screwdrivers. So I have my flat screwdriver, different lengths, and then I have a Phillips screwdriver sitting right inside here. And kind of some miscellaneous tools over here. This guy right here looks similar to your doctor's stethoscope. Basically the same thing. It is a stethoscope, but it's got this long piece right here that I can put up to a component, take a listen, and see where the noise is coming from. Really helpful if you're having a running car and a pulley noise or something like that I can take a listen to. This guy right here is actually used to take off hose clamps. So I can actually squeeze these little pieces in as I pull the trigger and actually close onto a clamp or open a clamp nice and easy for me.